Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here from the Alpha Team VTF. Hope you all had a fantastic long weekend. We are getting into the end of January or the back half of January, which means that we're about to get into the heart of earnings season. However, this coming week, still a little bit quieter, though there definitely are a few big names. So before the open today, you had a couple more banks, Goldman, Morgan Stanley. So that kind of wraps up the big bank reports. You do have a few regional banks coming up, which I'll get to talk about in a second, though. After the close today, there's really only one name of interest, United Airlines, pricing about 3 points. The problem with UAL at this point is that American raised guidance last week. Delta reported a really strong quarter on Friday, so I don't know if there's a ton of uncertainty left on UAL when it reports this afternoon. So, for me, that's mostly an avoid. I mean, I'll be keeping an eye on it tomorrow after the numbers come out, but as far as taking options into their earnings, I don't have a plan to do so. Before the open Wednesday, a couple more financials. Nothing that really interests me. Schwab, PNC, but these just generally aren't stocks that I trade, so I'm not going to have a position on those. After the close on Wednesday, Alcoa pricing in about 425. So this used to be the official kickoff to earnings season, but that now falls to banks. So I don't think I'm going to be doing anything with Alcoa, though it definitely can move sometimes. Like maybe every like 2 quarters, 3 quarters has a pretty big move. It's not as consistent, and the stock is up quite a bit year to date. So a little bit different or slash tougher setup in my opinion, but this could move some of the metal miners, definitely some of the more aluminum focused stocks. I don't know if I'm going to be in it, but something I'll be watching maybe after the numbers come out. Discover, so about 5.5 points was priced in. So there's two financials that seem kind of interesting coming up this week. This is one of them. Ally is the other, which is Friday morning. I'll talk about in a sec. Last quarter was not great for Discover, but the stock actually rallied because it was better than feared at the time. With it closer to its recent high, you can see kind of at the top of like this pretty strong or pretty big like multi-month downtrend. It does seem like the setup is quite a bit different versus when the stock was beaten down with low expectations. Now the stock is rallied, and maybe higher expectations and near a pretty big resistance range. So it does seem like an interesting setup, and I was thinking maybe Capital One COF could be an interesting sympathy play on this because they don't report during the week. Before the open on Thursday, some regional banks, probably not that I'm going to be involved with. Also Thursday before the open, Procter and Gamble, so it's pricing about 4.5 points. Just such a steady grind higher from October up through the beginning of December. Now it's been consolidating for the past month above 150. Every once in a while it has a larger move on earnings, so I guess I'll see how the week goes. But it seems actually kind of like a setup where it could move more than what's expected. I mean, it has room just back to retest the recent highs, like $4. If it loses 150, it's plenty of room lower. So it does seem like it's a okay setup for a volatility strategy, but we'll have to see how the week goes. And then after the close on Thursday, this is the main event, probably the one everybody's going to be focused on and/or talking about. Netflix pricing in about 32 points. Last quarter wasn't spectacular, but the stock reacted well, and a lot of that had to do with the ad tier rollout. So, with numerous upgrades, the stock near its best level in months, and multiple days this year already where it's been up significantly. It seems like they had really better deliver because there could be a lot of room lower if they don't. To me, it feels like the risk to reward is skewed lower here, following the huge runs to begin the year. But at the same time, I could also see in this being less volatile than when options are priced in, and especially if the numbers are just kind of in line-ish, because 32 seems elevated. Um, but if there's a big surprise, like a huge beat, great commentary about the rollout, or if there's a huge miss, downbeat commentary about the ad tier rollout, I mean, I could see it having a significant move, but if it's just in line, maybe more like muted than what options are expecting. And then Friday before the open, Ally pricing about $2. So this company's issues has stemmed from the auto loans, and the stock has been heavy, similar to those names. Last quarter was not good. Stock has been in a pretty steady downtrend for months, and it's near the top of that downtrend. So I feel like it's a make or break quarter. And I might focus more on the bear side, especially after the bounce into the top of downtrend resistance. Schlumberger, so wrapping up the week with the energy report, first of the quarter for this sector, and I would be expecting some money to move around oilfield service names more specifically because it's the first report of the quarter there. So had a pretty nice moving on the October print. Stock is held in well, continuing to push higher. I mean, with it up so many days in a row going into earnings, it does seem like a tougher setup. So I'd like to see this pause a bit before Friday. If it doesn't, then it might be more of an avoid. Though I might be looking at like sympathy plays on Baker Hughes or Halliburton because those don't report until the following week, and they will likely react to Schlumberger earnings. So I'll be keeping my eye on both of them. And if Schlumberger just keeps powering higher, I mean, it's going to be definitely going to be a tougher setup because it's pretty much up every single day to begin the year. So at this rate, it's kind of like the airlines where it's hard to say what's priced in. So that's it. So you can see a few big names, though still pretty thin on the calendar, but that's going to change really, really quickly starting next week and the week after. So we'll see. All right. So if you like this video, come check out the Alpha Team VTF. That's where I am, and we break down a lot of these setups on the day of and after, and talk about options as we get into earnings season. So come check it out. All right. So have a fantastic night, and I will talk to you all later this week.